Good morning. You're listening to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. I'm talking to Robert Ruscio with Ruscio Studio based in Montreal. Robert, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Kemp, and hello, everyone.
Yeah, congratulations on winning in the commercial category of the Ceramics of Italy Design Awards this year. They just announced that yesterday. You won it for a project in Winnipeg, Canada. It's called the Garden City Shopping Center. We'll get to that in just a minute. I'd like to talk a little bit about you. I actually know you pretty well because your firm focuses in the hospitality and retail area of design, and we do a design contest at Floor Focus every year, and you've won. You won in 2011, 2013, and 2014, so you know how to do award-winning projects.
Well, you got a pretty good memory, and that is correct. I remember those years, and I remember spending a nice weekend with the other winners of Floor Focus as well.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, we need to get you to enter more projects because they're award-winning, and we need to have you back with us again. That's a different topic. Let's first talk about this project. It's a Garden City Shopping Center. The reason you won the award, obviously, in this contest, you have to have used Italian tile. So you used Italian tile in this project. They really thought it was fantastic. I looked at some pictures. Looks like one area, like this food court, has a real cool solarium-type open light at the top, and then it's got beautiful tile throughout.
Thank you. You know, oftentimes malls don't necessarily go through these renovations the way some of the tenants go through renovations. You can have a span of 20 years before there's another renovation for the mall. It becomes important when you're going to be renovating a mall to keep that in mind. In this case, as we were brainstorming for the design, we wanted to have something that related to the name Garden City, since it was the name of the mall. But it was important for us not to get hokey and be literal with the interpretation. So there's the wood elements, and there's some geometric floral patterns that are also in some of the fabrics and the seatings. There's various lounge seatings throughout the mall. As we started putting together some of these design elements, we needed an element that would tie all of this together. And of course, the flooring plays that important role.
Right.
And in this case, we went with something that was a timeless finish. It's a stone imitation floor. You know, when you say imitation floor, for designers or architects, we prefer natural or authentic materials. But I do feel that with today's technology on digital printing, it's amazing what is going on with the flooring industry, and some of these finishes or the result of some of these prints, it'll fool almost anyone. So we went with this natural stone-looking floor, and what we did is we had a random linear pattern, but it was random-sized tiles. We eliminated borders. That, to us, is something that allows it to be somewhat contemporary as a design. There's a link that brings us back to the garden, but in a very subtle way. We, as well as the mall owner, are happy with the result. The traffic prior to this crisis had increased, and it was positive results for everybody.
All right. I think it's kind of funny that you've picked a category, especially with this slowdown in this COVID-19 era we're in right now. I mean, it's decimated retail. It's decimated hospitality. Hopefully this will come back quickly. But, you know, right now you've been focused in an area that's been probably hit the hardest. I've got to think as a designer, when you talk about retail and they talk about Amazon, the effect of what that's done to retail, there's actually a solution in there, and the solution is beautiful design. Don't you think?
Absolutely. The reality is the retail industry as a whole was in somewhat of a tumultuous position prior to this crisis. You've got to deal with Amazon, as you say, or the online shopping that kept increasing over the years, focusing on making the omni-channel present and seamless. There's also consumer habits that are changing. So there's a lot for the retail industry to adjust to and adapt prior to all of this. I do think that the solution before the crisis, and even more so as we move forward, is to create spaces that will offer something more than what online would give. Right. So whether it's creating spaces that create these memorable experiences that are unique relating to the brand, spaces that become destinations. We are going to go through a tough time, but I do believe that in the end, We are social creatures,
Yep.
and we will return back to the malls, and we will want to shop. It's the nature of who we are.
Right.
I also believe that we are currently in the storm, so everything seems accentuated, but eventually we will return to some new normal, especially once there is a vaccine out there. I do think that this will become part of our past, just like many other crises have passed us. If we take 9/11, for example, I would say that when that happened, that also was a tragedy, a crisis that we ended up dealing with and moved forward. So I would hope that we would do the same thing in this case.
Have you been staying busy in the last month or so?
Fortunately, we have been busy. We've had some projects that have been put on hold, but we have other projects that we are continuing to move forward. Perhaps it's the lease agreements or the type of retail that it is. I've also, however, been keeping busy, just keeping in touch with contacts in the industry, from landlords to brokers to clients. And it's mostly really to get an idea of what's going on out there, what are some of the challenges that we will most likely face once we get back to some normal, just to be in tune and just to make sure that we really have a good sense of how can we help our clients, how can we have a realistic outlook, because there's going to be a lot of predictions that are already being made, and from it's going to be okay to doom and gloom. And so it's really a matter of having a real sense of what's going on locally and globally and adapting to this new reality.
Yeah, I know you well enough to know that you are wondering, you're curious, are we going to have to put those little X's on the floor every 6 feet from now on? So.
Hopefully not. I mean, we may have to for a while, but that for sure is going to be replaced with something else.
Yeah. Okay, Robert. It's great to talk to you again. Been talking to Robert Ruscio, the winner in the commercial category of the Ceramics of Italy Design Awards this year, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.